Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fine.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm late. Guys, if I'm not going to be here, I would say something well before the stream starts. So if it's time to start and I'm not here, I am just failing at life. Getting up and getting ready is what it is. Sometimes I just think too much in the morning and I get, it's the ADHD thing. I start daydreaming. Don't get ready as quickly. Been thinking a lot, but let's go to the charts first, shall we? Well, here is the daily chart on the treasuries. And I don't think that we ever got below 4%, but we've had a couple of down days. Volatility is still really low though. Yeah, this has been a pretty slow trend. And I think one of the major factors here, like the biggest thing I've seen going on in the markets, if we can skip ES for a second, is oil. Woohoo! Wow, oil! Look at oil go. So all of a sudden, everybody's realizing, oh, like they're really gonna go into Iran, aren't they? Isn't that kind of funny? You remember talking like a week or two ago? And I was saying, well, it takes time for the other strike group to get there, but it really seems to me like negotiations aren't going well, and that they're gonna go do something. They're gonna step in. Like it's gonna be like bunker busters isn't enough. We're just gonna go in and take over the whole country. I think a war in Iran is coming. I really do. And so does the oil markets are moving up. And so the treasuries are coming down because they're concerned about energy-driven inflation. Okay, so that's why this happened. But it's pretty mild. It's pretty mild, all things considered, especially given how aggressively we moved up last week. Okay, S&P 500, kind of well, it was up and then it was down. Like, we had this huge down day last week, right? And this was after, I mean, man, you really got to go back. Some of these down days were really big, right? We had this big down day, big recovery. So, like, the index overall is kind of like okay, but especially when you look at single names, you've got tons of tech names that are down more than 50%. It's really wild. But then we had this down day the end of last week. And we're just, it's not even fighting it anymore. Now they're just kind of chilling. So I find that a little bit concerning. Even though I really think that these companies are way oversold. Way oversold. All right, gold and silver, just kind of trudging along here. They've actually kind of started to get a little quiet over there in the metals. Copper, on the downside, I haven't really heard any major headlines out of China, but it does kind of sound like that things are kind of like still a little not so great. Not, nothing like awful, but just kind of not so great, especially with like their real estate market and all that. So, and we got the Japanese yen. We did find out yesterday in the FOMC minutes that they did do a rate check. And, well, it's a little bit bigger of a down move in the Japanese yen yesterday, right? You come back to here, picture looks very different, right? Than there. Okay. And we're seeing some dollar strength come. So, I kind of see a setup for some flight to safety risk off plays to come if the equity markets decides to take another leg lower. Actually, it's like daily charts, Like they decide to go for that 200-day moving average is kind of the thing that I'm looking for. But I don't know. Well, first of all, there's a Bitcoin here. Bitcoin. Currently headed down, but not so big. Sailor still buying. Oh man, so many things to talk about. What should I talk about first? I from a technical perspective, you know, the spot where it's like, yeah, this is like a really good spot to step in if this is just like a short temporary pullback, which is often the case. We're not there yet for some reason in the S&P 500. But when I look at individual companies, I'm like, oh, this is getting crazy. Like, this has got to turn around now. Like, this is the buy the dip spot, right? Now? No, not now. Maybe now. It gets worse and worse, and I'm just, well, wow. And this is why I was taking so long getting ready this morning, was thinking about this, because especially in the tech industry, man, like tech workers, I see so much pessimism. And I feel like for once I'm in my element, you know what I mean? Like everybody's panicking. There's lots of uncertainty. You have to take risks. This is when we do best. It's when there's the most opportunity. I refuse to believe that this is all going to result in some dystopian AI-driven dictatorship. That's the way that economic systems work, kind of mean that can't happen. So somewhere along the line, there's going to be some sort of moderation in this. Okay, Bitcoin. What was I going to say about Bitcoin? Michael Saylor continues to buy Bitcoin. And at this point, he is getting less Bitcoin for his dollar. Like if you are giving him $1, because they're like offering stock and all this sort of stuff. They give him $1, he is buying less than $1 of Bitcoin with it. So it is now to the point with MSTR that they really can't have a super noticeable impact on the price. They need some other whale to come in and save them. And I don't like, who would do that? All of the Bitcoin maxis that would be really interested in saving them are already in. And anybody else is like, well, I don't want my money anywhere near that disaster. So the chances of the MSTR-driven cryptocurrency crash are higher than ever. Higher than ever. And it's extremely fascinating to watch. Especially since a lot of people are like not even paying attention. You know, like you don't hear a lot about Bitcoin these days. Okay, so what was the data that we got? U.S. initial jobless claims 206K versus an expected 225. Hey, that is really, really good. That is probably the best jobless claims number I've seen in a year. I don't know. We'll go to Zero Hedge and they'll tell us how long it's been since we've seen a beat that big, but that was a really good beat. Let's see here. Now, where's the Philly Fed Business Index 16.3 versus an expected 7.5. So I think what you're gonna see is like over the next quarter is an economy that continues to recover from the tariffs of yesteryear and accelerating growth and inflation staying paradoxically tame. You're going to have this situation kind of similar to the Obama years where like you get growth, except for there'll be higher growth rate than it was during the Obama years. And eventually they'll get to this point where they're concerned about deflation, even though the economy is looking really, really great. That's what I think is going to happen. So strong data, not necessarily bad, but for the treasuries, that's also going to hurt them. By the way, I was looking yesterday because so many of these tech stocks are down. And I'm just, with some of them, I'm really having a hard time understanding how the prices can get that low for some of these names. Some of them are really quite zany, like trading below their yearly revenues. And like, these are good, strong businesses that are still doing just fine and pulling in as much money as they ever did. So how can you possibly value it below their earning? Well, it probably has to be dilution, but that's still crazy. How do you get to those price levels? Well, maybe there's money coming in on shorts. And so I went and looked. There's a lot of names with like 10%, but 10% isn't necessarily unusual. So I don't think that it's shorts. But while I was looking at that, the thing that I discovered, you know what one of the biggest shorts positions out there is? Or most shorted names? Is TLT. The market is incredibly short treasuries, which just makes the rise in the past week and the continued low volatility in treasuries that much more wild and interesting, doesn't it? All right. So, oh, yes, I was wondering about this. My chart in DX resizes correctly. My one in the treasuries does not. Maybe it's because I still have separate methods for that on these. Is that what's going on? No. Will we get a short squeeze on TLT? Well, even though it's one of the most shorted names, there's not an... Okay, so like... well, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. What was the name of the website? There was a website that was really good for this, and I can't remember what it was called, but they like specialize. I used to look at Morningstar, but apparently they don't have it. Oh, it was shortsqueeze.com. Yeah. I thought it was on their front page. Maybe it wasn't short squeeze. Oh, you know what? I wonder, did I have to sign in to do it? I think I did. No, I didn't make an account there. Love that. Well, maybe I can go here and do TLT. Yeah. No, but it's not showing me the number. Ow, I must not have looked at it on short squeeze. Oh. Well, let's look at Ortex. think you have to sign up for them. I had a 3-week winning streak, lost it all in. Oh, dude. Well, so the big issue is that when you get a really long winning streak like that, it's very often done by taking on a lot of risk, right? Like your average loser is much larger than your average winner. You put a stop in, and the stop is just really, really far away, and your target is super, super tiny short. So you want to avoid that. If you're you want your average favorable excursion to be more than your average adverse excursion. And if you do that, it's pretty hard to get a win rate over 55%. So that's the biggest one, right? And then the next thing is that you do have to realize that a lot of what we're doing is kind of like sometimes you're just shorting volatility, and when you're going to get screwed is when volatility rises. So you've really got to stay keyed into the informational side of the market, know what's going on, and know when there's that possibility of volatility rising so that you can just kind of step back when it happens. Because for some styles of trading, avoiding that is the whole game, basically. Man, I'm so weirded out now that I can't find where I was seeing it. I think that the TLT short interest is like 15% or something like that. And you gotta realize that when it was GameStop, it was like 80 to over 100% on those metrics. So I don't think that you can have a short squeeze quite the same magnitude, but some of that up movement probably was short covering to some extent. I'm really weirded out that I can't find it, but I shouldn't waste. Shouldn't waste. See, that should show. Why am I not? So it's really wild to me that it works on the dollar index and not my treasuries. What's with that? See right there, I think it's working. It's because, yeah, it might not be, but. Right there, it should be showing me the next one. It's not. Oh, well, it should. I have it turned on, do I? Daily volatility levels, log level, debug. And I'm not seeing any debug statements. Public override void on calculate min max. I only trade mini NQ, but sometimes when I'm down 500, I trade. Well, that's doubling down. Which also, the doubling down will work most of the time, by the way. Like, that's the thing about it. Doubling down will work most of the time. It's just that when it doesn't work out, you get hurt so badly, it's not worth it. What's the best volume indicator? The DOM? I don't know. I find that kind of an odd question to ask. What is it that you're actually trying to see or understand? Why is it not calling the method? This is curious. Huh. Oh, I know. Auto scale's not turned on. Yes, there we go. Okay. Okay, now the method is getting called. There we go. Oh, okay. So I need a little fix here. I have to ask that question. What ChatGPT is telling me is not make sense. So I think that what we need to do is we need to return the minimum of either. Well, we sure can feel like sure feels like we came up to the top there pretty quickly. I guess it's only 2 ticks to get there, but a little bit of clicky click there kind of caught my attention. What's the book about complex and adaptive systems that you often talk about? Hold on. So, I think that you're talking about making sense of chaos by doing Farmer, right? Doing Farmer. He's been making waves recently because he wants to make an agent-based model of the entire economy. Basically, he wants to make a model where each agent in the system is a company in the global system, and then they're going to model out how that company might behave in certain situations, and then play it out and see if we can, if that system will show some of the things that we see in the real global economy that we don't necessarily understand why they do that. And then we can prove that those behaviors are likely due to emergent behaviors and complexity. So I think it's a really good idea. I'm really fascinated. But I also talk about this book, Trades, Quotes, and Prices, Financial Markets Under the Microscope, which it touches on different concepts, but it's in the same space. It's basically, it's the same school of researchers, if we say. And kind of what happens in Trades, Quotes, and Prices is that they simulate the market and duplicate some of the stylized behaviors of markets that we see and explain why order flow behaves the way that it does. So if you're a trader, you really want to understand things, I think you read that Trades, Quotes, and Prices. Making Sense of Chaos is a book that I feel like everybody should read. No, just started that one. Cool. All right. Oh yeah, I didn't compile here. Okay. Refresh. It's still doing it. Maybe this needs to be -2. Okay, now it works. Then if I go over, very good. Smooth, good. Okay. Fixed it. And for good measure, save the workspace, because I think last time I changed the auto scale, I didn't do that. So now I can more clearly see we are below the open. We kind of bounced off of the extended session. You know what? I never came in and did this. There you go. Oh, so for that's not right. And volatility levels. Yeah, that's right. Okay. It's just the way that they round sometimes. Is there something in Jigsaw that places that open? No. I don't know where it gets the open from. What is causing that back and forth there, huh? It is the treasury. It's a bid. One of them is really far away. That's curious. Oh, no, maybe it's 26. Okay. Epstein funded Blockstream 1 month before Tether was launched? Wait a second. So is Epstein responsible for Bitcoin? Like, I mean, we already knew that he was involved in, like, starting it and everything. But 1 month before Tether was launched. That means that, like, he's responsible for, in large part, for everything that it's become. Like the way that the ecosystem is. Okay. That just gets more and more wild. So you know what I saw this morning? England arrested Prince Andrew. So, like, I'm really wilded out that didn't happen before. Like, what information is in the emails that that law enforcement didn't have access to before? Nothing. Nada. Right? It's just only now they're gonna arrest because there's enough public outcry, I guess. Like, it's really weird. It's really weird that they now do that. Wait, let me see here. It's not because of they suspect that he had sex with a minor. It's because he shared confidential government trade documents with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. I see. But, like, that's the thing is that it seems to me that Jeffrey was trafficking in information is what he was really trafficking in. That he was making money from small individual trades when he knew something from all of the people that he talked to. And they arrested him apparently, guys. Prince Charles and the king has said, like, there's the thing is you can, I think that you can arrest a prince. I don't think that you can arrest the king. Oh, you're late today? We were just talking that Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion that he shared confidential trade agreement information with Jeffrey Epstein. That's why he's being arrested. Oh, I saw that. He's not a prince. But you're saying that you can't arrest a prince? I think maybe you can, if the king says to. I don't know. The ins and outs of monarchy don't make any sense to me. Like, I'm an American. The law must take its course. That's what King says. King Charles. It's all crazy. It's really quite wild to me. The number of, you know, like people that are being canceled essentially for their association with Jeffrey Epstein is yeah, like, I thought that the names that would come out through all of that would kind of be names that everybody already knew, right? And it's not like the documents necessarily prove any wrongdoing or anything, but it's kind of that if you were even talking to Jeffrey after he was convicted the first time, that you shouldn't have been doing that, and anybody that was talking to him afterwards getting canceled. Epstein Nakamoto. I don't think that Jeffrey Epstein created Bitcoin, but it really seems to me, because here's the thing: there was this point at which they were kind of the core team was developing Bitcoin. It's kind of having an issue, and then all of a sudden these Blockstream guys came out of the woodwork, and they started running Bitcoin Core, and they started doing things that directly contradicted the original white paper. They basically changed it so that it wasn't viable as cash anymore. And it appears that change, that Jeffrey Epstein played a major role in, that is pretty wild, isn't it? Should Bitcoin be canceled? Should Blockstream be canceled? I kind of feel like it should. I mean, I never liked cryptocurrencies, but I particularly despise what it's become. Like, when it was a cashless system, it was like, okay, well, you libertarian types are a little bit misguided, but, you know, it's okay. Let them experiment and do their thing, and we'll see what happens. In the long run, we'll realize that you need to be able to change the supply of new money based on the economic conditions, right? But when it just turned into like a casino, like, just make this thing go up as fast, you know, it's just turned into a complete shit show, and I despise everything about it. It's just become one giant scam to try and get as many people to buy into it as possible, so that the people that bought into it earlier can become billionaires. I hate it. And it makes me absolutely giddy, to be frank, that MSTR is having trouble and Bitcoin is in dire straits, and I would love nothing more than for another major decline in Bitcoin, because I really think that if you get another major price decline in Bitcoin, that that could kind of set the stage for it to go to zero. Because if MSTR gets liquidated, it would literally go to zero. It might only be there briefly, but apparently there was a GME crypto that got rugged. Oh, I hadn't heard that. Ugh. I got on Reddit here, kind of see what's going on and what people are talking about, and I shouldn't have done it. So the first thing that I see here is somebody saying it's shocking to me as a Brit that Americans aren't taught that they only entered the war against the Nazis after Nazi Germany sided with Japan after Pearl Harbor and declared war against the USA. At no point did the USA decide to, quote, save democracy from Nazism. That's false. That's absolutely false. The reality of it is that FDR was slowly preparing the United States for war the whole time. And it was basically always his intention to go to war against the Nazis. And it was just the Nazis siding with Japan against the US was just kind of like the convenient excuse that he needed, right? Because really, if your beef is with Japan, why would you care what Germany does, even if Germany says that they're going, that they're declaring war on you? Essentially, you just go like, not my problem. We're focused on Japan. You just focus on Japan. No, FDR always was planning on going to war against Germany. He had been preparing like the whole decade before it happened, folks. It bothers me that that's on the top of Reddit because that is so not what happened. Of course, I'm kind of sharing some history that maybe a lot of people don't know. There you go. FDR wanted to enter the war on the UK side, but until Pearl Harbor, he didn't have the votes in Congress to declare war. Also at the time, the US, a defensive ideology on conflict, not saying the US didn't manufacture reasons to declare war while maintaining a purely defensive ideology. Thank you. This is what people are missing. The president did want to get involved, but the votes weren't there. Anyways, I hate Reddit. Oh, what's this? Worthwhile. By the way, that reminds me, I need to update thumbnails. What happened? Oh, I saved them in the raw files. The satisfying death of sneaker culture? Okay. That's what, when I come to YouTube, that's like the first video it shows me. One. Oh, so by the way, I totally forgot something else we got to talk about. Apparently, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the day job has been saying that you can work from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's like focus days. So that means that on those days, we'll be able to stream until 9:30, which is great. Because honestly, you don't really want to stream that long on Monday and Friday. So it would be nice to do Wednesday too, but hey, take what we can get. I think that will be really good for us, yeah? Okay, so we just had a little bit of a jump here. I'm wondering, well, the S&P 500's still the first 10 minutes, they're kind of selling. Oh, by the way, I don't think I have Twitter up here. Oh, Neil Kashkari is speaking. That's maybe why we're getting a little bit of... The U.S. is structurally short housing. Interest rates may be part of that, but also our zoning, material, and labor costs. There are few workers to build homes, then at the margin, fewer homes will be built. Yes, I don't see how you get around that. Kashkari claims crypto is utterly useless. I love it. Not clear what a stablecoin can do beyond what Venmo and similar services already offer. I mean, on a practical sense, he's right. Except for that, the Bitcoin maxis want cryptocurrency to take over everything because they think that people using stablecoins will result in more money coming into the Bitcoin ecosystem, making them rich. Fed is cautious about using AI internally with strong guardrails against giving access to confidential data. Yeah, it was we were talking about this at work yesterday, really quite in detail, and this idea that like all software and especially software as a service companies are going to go kaput is, I just think, absolutely ridiculous. I think it could only come from somebody that really has no clue what goes on in a business environment. Because like where I work, there are so many like regulations and things that we have to deal with. There are so many security requirements that we have to deal with. And the idea that everybody, like, because we serve other companies, it's a B2B business, it's a business-to-business sales. You know, I think that the market is kind of saying, well, people won't need to pay for these services anymore. They'll just use AI to make them in-house. I think it's patently ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because you've got all of these controls and everything that you have to do. And you might say, well, yeah, but the AI will be able to write the new thing with all of those regulations in mind. Yes, but then you still have to have somebody like inspect it and do the audits on it and all of those sorts of things. So it's going to be cheaper to have a service that specializes in that do it than it is going to be to do it yourself. And that's probably always true. I saw this video clip this morning from the All In guys, who apparently are still around and I still get TikToks about. And they were saying that some of their developers at their startups were spending more in AI credits than what they were paying the employee. So, like, in order to justify it, you had to justify that this employee was doing twice as much work as a non-AI employee. Isn't that crazy? I don't think people realize the costs of these LLMs. It can get a little silly. So yeah, I think that obviously there are some companies, especially the more consumer-based ones, are where, you know, like if you are making a running app or something like that, right? Like, yeah, you're going to have a lot more competition. You're not going to go away, but you're going to have more competition and your margins are just going to get crushed. Okay. But all of these business-based software as a services out there, I think they're going to be fine. Most of them are going to be fine. You know, and there's some things like one thing that really drives me crazy is that when they go on AI winners, Datadog is always put on the AI winners list. And I just kind of feel like that's only because you guys liked Datadog before. But as somebody that basically writes a system like Datadog, all of the open source tools to do what Datadog does exist. And you can do it yourself. And it's just, you need somebody to kind of maintain it and set it up. But so I kind of feel like that's one of the ones that are just more at risk. Anyways, what's going on in the markets right now, I think, doesn't make a lick of sense. But they'll sort it out eventually, right? Oh, it's either that or a bunch of software as a service companies will unnecessarily go out of business. Well, that would suck. Yes, and then there's the power issue. So it's not clear to me that AI is going to get cheaper. Although one might argue at that point, though, that if it's the power that's holding us back, that's just a temporary. Okay, maybe you've delayed AGI by 10 years, but it's coming. It's coming for your job. I sure hope that that's not what happens, because I really don't think I can stand 10 years of everybody on Reddit The AIs are coming for your jobs. Ugh. What drives me nuts about it is that at its heart, these people are pushing this narrative because they want general or universal basic income. They want UBI. That's really what it's all about. Okay, yeah, it seems like a significant downtick. Not a huge offer on it, but you did kind of see it go. And a little bit of flattening with this pullback as well. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. Is there anything we need to talk about that I missed? U.S. trade deficit unexpectedly worsens as exports slump again in December. Zero hedge on the jobless claims data. Their final question is, are we solidly back into the no hire, no fire economy? Sure feels like it to me, honestly. I think that there's been a pickup in hiring and that a lot of the people that were long-term unemployed have kind of, finally found stuff. But then it's back to like there's not very much stuff coming. Kashkari says he doesn't think that we can shrink the balance sheet without fundamental changes. I think he's probably right. I think him saying that in particular, I think is pretty significant because Hassert's going to listen to him. Hassert and Kashkari are going to be co-friends. So anybody, going short the dollar because they think that Hassert is going to decrease the balance sheet, should probably be covering. They won't, though. From Polymarket, the odds of Jesus Christ returning this year have surpassed Kamala Harris's chance of winning the next election. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, man. It's really funny to me with the Kamala Harris crowd still thinking she stands a chance. Like, good. They seem pretty stuck at 27.5 now. Wait, so it's almost Friday. You know what does that mean? What does it almost being Friday mean? Is it bad? Yay. Oh, it means possible. Oh yeah, you're right. Now this time I think it's a real possibility, man. Don't you like they've been saying all of the planes are flying out there. There's a huge buildup. Like that could be this weekend, man. And I'm and let me tell you, I'm not excited to see war, obviously. But I am excited to see a liberated Iran. For some reason, the chat didn't let that go through. That's so funny, dude. Wait, if I go to live chat. Good grief. Yeah, it seems like there's a really, really strong chance it happens this weekend, doesn't it? I mean, so again, because you weren't here when we're going through the beginning here, oil has been rocketing up. And why? Because they think that there's going to be a war with Iran. Now, here's the thing. The market's pricing this like there's going to be volatility. Let me tell you something. Oh my gosh, this is such a dangerous trade I'm going to share with you, okay? This is such a dangerous trade I'm about to share with you. So just keep in mind that what I'm talking about is very, very risky. But I think you short oil here because they're thinking, okay, there's going to be a war with Iran, and then that's going to disrupt oil supply and yada, 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 yada. But you know what's really going to happen is the U.S. is going to just completely take over the government in the course of a night, and then all of Iran's oil will be available for the world markets. So it will like dramatically increase the amount of oil available on world markets. It's gonna hurt oil supply. Oh, and since it will be like a country kind of running under the protection of the U.S., they won't be part of OPEC, not initially at least. So yeah, I think you sell oil. I think you let oil spike up. Like probably if we go in this weekend and you come in on Monday and probably the price of oil spikes even higher. But then I think you short it. Huh? What do you think about my trade? Is it contrarian? I don't even think it's necessarily contrarian. I think that I'm just maybe thinking a few steps ahead compared to the market, right? But I'm not convinced because the thing is maybe I'm being too optimistic about how easy regime change in Iran will be, right? Because I'm thinking they're just gonna do what they did to Argentina or whatever, not Argentina, Venezuela. They're just gonna do the Venezuela. They're gonna come in with their thingamabooper and take out all of the guards and arrest the leaders of the country, and it'll just be regime change overnight. What was it that Donald Trump called it? I can't remember what Donald Trump called it, but I had a lot of fun selling these rumors every time, and they react. So yeah, they really do, though. You're totally right. Yeah, and like last week when it was doing it, that was totally a sell too because they weren't going to do it yet. The market was pricing it in. Because I really think that a lot of the things that we see in markets these days are algorithms making really, really dumb calls. And there's probably lots of there's probably lots of opportunity to make money off of them. It seems to be LRED. Yeah, it does. It seems to be LRED tech. They've taken an LRAD and they've changed it to wavelengths that are very harmful to the human brain, and it just knocks people out and it goes through walls, and it's crazy. It's crazy stuff, man. And the thing with Iran is, like, they're a developed country, right? So a war with Iran would be a much bigger deal than many, like Iraq. Okay, like Iraq, we just came in and just totally wiped the floor, right? And that was like one of the most feared things, right? And Iran would be worse. Like, they have a big military, but they're also a much more developed country, right? And could put up a real fight. But the issue is that we have seen that all of the tech that Iran has is basically completely useless against U.S. technology. So they're going to, you know, like, I think that the worst case scenario for the U.S. is an extended bombing campaign. That it just goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks. We're bombing Iran before they give up and go, okay, maybe it's not happening. Like, that's the worst case scenario for the U.S. Because all of this tech that they had from the Russians that was talked up has turned out to be not completely useless. All they did was remove the... Wait, what are you talking about? All they did was remove the limiters. Always remember that's why it's really bad for governments and such to use it on people. Remember Serbia? Nobody remembers Serbia anymore. They don't want to talk about it. Yeah. It is. I think it's so funny. I don't like to... There are some things out there that, like, conspiracy theorists... they get it right, even though the reason that they believe in that thing is because of a conspiracy theory. But there are some things that just because of the structure of the world and everything, it goes a certain way, right? Like Democrats take certain positions, not because they are sensible positions, but because they literally would not be a functioning party anymore if they didn't. You know, happens all the time, and it's similar for certain things. You don't want to talk about anything that would cause white people to vote the way that other demographics do, because then certain political parties would be completely neutered. And because it could result in more conflict between ethnicities, right? So you don't talk about Serbia, because you start talking about Serbia and then people will go, well, this is what happened in Serbia, so maybe we should do something before that happens here. And I'm trying to be careful here, because I'm not saying that you should, that's what you should be thinking. I'm not saying that. I'm not taking a position on that. I'm not sure I know enough about that sort of a thing to say, like, this is the way that would go and this is what you should do about it or anything like that. I'm just saying that if it was talked about, that this is the opinions that people would start to take on and where it would go and the political implications of it. So it is absolutely tamped down for political reasons. Okay, well, the treasuries are kind of coming back up here. You'll see if they make a new high. 30.5 is the target, the next target. I think that they could get 30.5. We'll see. I mean, we're pretty close to the prices we had yesterday, so. It's time for me to get going, guys. All right, so I will see you tomorrow. We can talk more about the coming war with Iran. And in the meantime, stay excellent, team.